Jackson. Commissioner Young. Here. Commissioner Burrell.
Here.
Commissioner Jones. Commissioner Gage Watts.
Present.
Commissioner Blake.
Here.
Commissioner Atkins. Here. Commissioner Chavez.
Here, sir.
Commissioner Lazarus.
Here.
And Commissioner Epperson.
Present.
Okay, you have 10 of 12 members present. That does constitute a quorum.
Okay.
Is the microphone working?
I'm sorry.
Barely.
I'm sorry. My microphone did not pick that up. Let me restate that just for the record is that we have 10 of 12 committee members present. And just as a reminder, obviously I need a reminder myself, but we do need to make sure that our green lights are glowing on these microphones so that we can be picked up. But again, for the record, we do have 10 to 12 members present. Commissioners Jackson and Jones are absent, and that does constitute a quorum for today.
Okay, thank you. At this time, we're going to forego the invocation and the pledge. We just did that in committee. Mr. Clerk.
Okay, that brings us to agenda additions, and I am not aware of any agenda additions for today's meeting unless you have any, Mr. Chair.
I don't.
Okay, we can move forward to citizens' comments then. And under citizens' comments, citizens are asked to submit their comment cards in this box to the left here. Comments are limited to 3 minutes, and these are on items other than zoning. And we have received one.
Okay, before we do that, Ms. Clerk, if you would come and get me online here.
It's
My system is down. I don't know if anybody else is.
Yeah, I got it. Thank you. Yes.
Okay.
I don't know why it wasn't registering you. Give it a minute. If you don't mind, let me borrow this real quick.
Jeff, could you, Commissioner, I think they're saying they're still having trouble hearing you. Is this mic?
My mic is on now. It wasn't on earlier.
Just had to cycle through.
All right. Okay, we have one person at this time, one citizen at this time in public comments, and that's Ms. John Glover. Okay, I want to get that messed up.
Good evening, Commissioners.
Evening.
I want to say, my name is John Glover. I want to tell you that.
Did I say John?
Yes, you did.
Okay.
9100 Walker Road, apartment 217, Shreveport, 71118. I thought it worth me making a statement before I start addressing the issues that I came before you all. When I come before you all requesting or even asking for an explanation of an agenda item, it is not an attack. It is just me wanting to get some information. So if you perceive it as an attack, that is never my intent nor purpose. Now on to the business at hand. I picked up this card in the foyer, and many know that we're about to consider this. As I went through it, I thought, neighborhood development programs, that's something the city of Shreveport normally takes care of. So I'm not understanding why you all are stepping into that one. Then the litter and blight abatement, Shreveport Green, you all give them a grant through the grant situation, NGOs. Then I thought about workforce development. That's done through NLEP. You know, you got things on here that really has nothing to do with the parish. It has to do with other entities. So my intent and purpose would be to ask you, no matter that this card is out there, because you're still wanting people to vote on it, you need to be clear about why you put those items in this particular millage. Number two, I was reading an agenda item that talked about a veteran cemetery sign. And I thought, I've gone to the veteran cemetery quite a few times, and I've been able to get there with the signs that are already displayed. So I need to know, where's this sign going to be? Because I've not had any concerns getting to the veteran cemetery. But then I went to the funding of this sign, and it talked about the oil and gas fund. Now, a lot of people don't like the oil and gas revenues, but then they want to use those oil and gas revenues. Can't have it both ways. Either you're for it or you're against it. It can't be both. I do appreciate you all allowing me to speak, but there was one other thing, sickle cell. And it talked about doing probably a comparison study to see if those disabilities are rated according to, I guess compensation. You're saying that sickle cell gets so much money, those recipients that are sickle cell, and that must be a chart or a scale that determines how much a person with sickle cell gets. Now, I did some research and I could not find anything that said this is how disability compensations are afforded those recipients. So I'd like to know how that came about too. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. John Glover. I think that's the only one we have at this time.
We have received no additional requests for public comment today.
Okay, Mr. Clerk.
Okay, that brings us, we have no scheduled visitors, so that brings us to reports, where you do have an administrator report attached to your agenda. And there are also hard copies and digital copy of the latest finance report.
Madam Administrator.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, commissioners. Just wanted to provide you the numbers for detention. 20 in detention, 5 are OJJ, 4 17-year-olds. There are 19 at CCC, and we have 621 on probation, which is still an increase. Wanted to let you know about the NLCOG will be hosting a I-49 public meeting on October 17th from 3:30 to 6:30 p.m. at the Shreveport Convention Center, and that will provide the different overview of the different alternative routes for the I-49 connector. Also, there will be a Region 4 meeting September 27th at 6 o'clock at the Petroleum Club. And as Commission Clerk mentioned, you do have your August 23 financial statements at your stations. That concludes the administration report, and we'll take any questions you may have or comments.
Okay, are there any questions from the commissioners? Any of the commissioners to the administrator? Okay, Commissioner Epperson, then Chavez, and then Johnson.
Ms. Bryant, if you would, could you get Dr. Martha White to give us an update on COVID as well as the new booster vaccine for Thursday?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And also, I had spoken about a COVID test that was given at LSU Ochsner's. The recipient stated they took her blood pressure and swabbed her nose for the COVID test, and the amount that they charged was $564. I had another gentleman that called and said he had a COVID test at a Quick Care, and it was $20.
Okay.
I was wondering if we can see what's the disparity there.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Commissioner Chavez.
Thank you, President. Let me grab that mic back.
Director Bryan, I know Ms. Glover asked a few questions. Only one of them is directed towards administration, just because it's not want to put you on the spot right now. On Thursday, can we review some of those questions in regards to that card that we're passing out on why we have them on the juvenile justice millage for the litter abatement, the neighborhood. What was that other one you had, Ms. Glover? There was the neighborhood programs. So those three that she asked, if we could give a more in-depth explanation on Thursday to those.
Yes, sir. And just for clarification, what we have on the ballot is a criminal justice, a public safety initiative, not just juvenile justice, but it's criminal justice, public safety, and any costs associated with providing an adequate criminal justice system, but we will provide further explanation on Thursday.
Thank you, Ms. Bryant. Thank you, President.
Okay, Commissioner Young.
Are we doing communiques already, or is this still administration?
Well, it says, question to the administrator.
Well, on my tablet it says 8. If it's,
Commission remarks is right after that, so you may as well go on into it.
if you want to talk to the administration, please go first. Okay, thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to respond briefly about the criminal justice millage. So the reason that these items are all on the criminal justice millage is that they are all big problems in our city and our parish. It's true that we do some things relating to each of them right now. We give Shreveport Green some money for blight and litter abatement. And we do a little bit of workforce development through NLEP, although that's not funded very much through the parish. But each of these items is a very clear contributing factor to criminality in our city. The lack of jobs from workforce development and the lack of people who have skills that are productive is a big problem here. And even though we do a little bit right now, everybody here in our parish should probably be aware that it's not enough. Our litter and blight abatement efforts, for instance, are very clearly not enough. It's a very messy city where we live. Our workforce development programs are clearly not enough. We have a very high unemployment rate here among people, largely because they have no skills. So being able to teach these people trades is a form of crime prevention, because then they can have gainful employment that's legal instead of trying to make a living on the street. So each one of these items has some ongoing efforts made toward it, but they're very far from enough. And that's one of the reasons that our city and our parish are declining at such a rapid rate. So we hope that people will realize that public safety is worth an investment and that crime costs us all, even if it doesn't cost us in money. And we hope that people will be willing to chip in a little bit of money so that we can work to prevent crime, really for the first time in our history, instead of waiting until people commit crimes and then doing the most expensive thing we can with them, which is catching them, running them through a court system, and locking them up. Thank you, Mr. President.
Okay, thank you, Vice President. Let me apologize to Commissioner Johnson. His name is not popular. I was apologizing to Commissioner Johnson. His name was up here and then it left my system, so I thought maybe you might have
No, it
got
popped
off
for
there.
some reason.
Okay, all right, Commissioner Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. President. This was going to kind of address the things that were on the card for the tax. She mentioned about how we fund other organizations to do that. And if you look at our proposed budget for 2024, there is basically a deficit in there. So if that money is not made up, or we have to pull money from a different fund, and you talk about future support for those organizations, those will be the first ones to be cut because we are in a deficit. Those organizations utilize the money that the parish gives them to operate, to do things on our behalf, because we don't have a crew like Shreveport Green to go out and pick up trash and clean bayous and things of that sort. So that's one of the reasons that's on the list. The other organization you talked about is because we don't have staffing for all that. Anytime we give an organization money, we don't have that staffing to adequately do that for the entire parish. So if we had to do that the entire parish, our budget would probably triple in that amount. So because you got to look at hiring people, benefits, and all that. And when we sub it out, we don't have to deal with benefits. It's basically paying an organization to do the job. To the administration, I want to know what's the status of the flower garden at the courthouse. We done went through the spring, the winter, and now we're finna go to the fall, and I hadn't seen no dirt till at all.
Well, Commissioner, as you know, we had a very hot summer.
Right.
So it was just not the time that we could actually get the garden going, but that is on our list of things to get accomplished, and we are working on it, and we'll hopefully have a an answer to you, a better answer of our timeline by next commission meeting.
I would like to have it done before I leave, I'm on a
Well, I
timeline, I'm
mean,
about to leave.
you are going into a time frame that
Well, at
it may
least
be
turn some
difficult.
dirt. Let's turn some dirt or
Well,
something.
you might could turn some dirt.
Plant some bulbs. Yeah, so, and it's supposed to have tulips in it, so, you'll have some bulbs. The other one is on the 75,000 that we, voted to give SPD for the, Cooper Road, mass shooting. Where are we on that? Cause I was actually at a city council meeting and the, chief administrative officer said he had been trying to catch up with me and I hadn't got a call from him. So I just want to know where we are with that. Do we have a cooperative endeavor agreement in place already, or we still working on it?
No, we're working on cooperative endeavor agreement. It's in line with all the other. We have a multitude of CEAs and programs and initiatives that we're trying to get implemented and organized, and it is on the list of things to get accomplished. On that one, we're really trying to figure out how we coordinate that CEA and what we actually can pay for and can't pay for. But it is. We do have that on the list, and yes, we're working on it.
Okay, that one is kind of time sensitive because it is dealing with a mass shooting and we want to make sure that we hurry up and get those people off the street. Because as time go on, you basically having retaliations to those shootings. So I want to kind of make sure that that's a priority.
Oh, yes, sir,
For
but
us
we've
and them.
also worked on some other initiatives with the Shreveport Police
Right.
and worked on that, the other one first. You all passed a budget amendment in relation to that, and we've finalized that, I believe, and worked on that issue
So
now.
it's still working behind the scenes. but-
Yes, it's
okay.
not that it's just laying dormant. We are working with them now. That was the first priority. Now we're working on this initiative because this was more about salaries and being able to try
It's
to,
more about resources, making sure
right,
they have the
providing
resources.
additional resources
Right.
so they can have,
So it's not just for them to get overtime doing
correct.
something. It's actually making sure they have the right resources in place to make sure that they can expedite in solving that crime. I'm not really worried about the overtime because they got that in their budget already, but just making sure that we have the resources if they have to pull officers from other areas to help them solve the case.
Yes, sir. And the administration clearly recognizes the importance to the commission of assisting with crime initiatives, which is one of the other reasons why the item that you all have on the ballot in October is very important, so that we can have additional resources to provide to assist with these types of initiatives. But we recognize that importance, and it is definitely something that we understand the urgency and will continue to work to get accomplished.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
I'm done, Mr. President.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Commissioner Gage Watts. Oh, Commissioner Atkins.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to provide some color around Ms. Glover's inquiry regarding the apparent hypocrisy of voting against oil and gas, but voting for oil and gas spending. And I just wanted to, as I'm sure you're aware, with all due respect, it's not a black or white. Yeah, it's out of respect. I wanted to comment on it, and that my view on that is I am for oil and gas, but I want to ensure that it's done safely and in a way that doesn't overly burden our citizens with noise and operations and those types of activities. So it's all about finding a balance. So far, we haven't found the right balance because our ordinance didn't pass, but there lies the rub. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Atkins, Commissioner Gage Watts.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to, I think I need to, I'm sorry. Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to address the questions about the resolution for sickle cell disease. And as I've stated many times before, that sickle cell disease is one of the most underrepresented disease in the U.S. And there may not be enough sufficient information for you to find on Google or any other internet option that you choose. However, after extensive review, there are facts like a patient with MS receives about 6 times more than a patient with sickle cell disease. Therefore, as too many warriors already suffer in silence, I'm using my platform to address and bring resolve to some of the issues. This resolution is to speak directly to our federal and our state legislators, just like we widely support breast cancer, prostate cancer, Alzheimer's disease, and strokes. This resolution is about supporting equality. Thank you.
Okay. I don't know, Commissioner Epperson for the second time or the first?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, I just wanted to address the issue about the ordinance for the sign. I was going to change that today. It should have read commemorative plaque dedication. I don't know how many of you are aware, we're just finishing a $3.5 million expansion grant at the cemetery. One of the most beautiful state cemeteries, not only in the nation, but we consider it to be one of the best looking ones in Louisiana out of the 5 that we just recently got. There's a significant historical presence to that. Caddo Parish set the tone in 1997 to get that facility put here, which subsequently led to 4 more state veteran cemeteries in the state of Louisiana. We made that an issue. We went to, I think, our National Association of County Officials in Baltimore, Maryland. Unheard of that a resolution from a small state such as Louisiana could get a resolution passed through on the full body that was not put in place 30 days prior to the convention. And that was to enlighten our entire delegation as to the loss of veteran cemetery space, not only in Louisiana, but over the nation. We lobbied Congress. We got $7.5 million cemetery grant to get that particular facility started. It was the catalyst for 4 more subsequently in Louisiana. What made it even come to fruition quicker was that the Eddie Jones Nature Park, which is over 1,200 acres, we donated 86.7 acres to put the cemetery there. And we helped put the road in, we put water. And for those of you that may not know, we retained the oil and the mineral rights to those acreage, as well as the mineral rights to the other over 1,000 acres in that Eddie Jones Nature Park. So therefore, all the ones that lie under the ground there earn that right, irrespective to whatever their philosophy is about oil and gas. We earn that right to have that amount, that fund donated to take care of that expense. No different than a lot of other areas that come from the oil and gas fund that have not sacrificed as much. And this isn't a sign to show the direction. We passed an ordinance statewide that signs leading to any veteran cemetery or anything that's named after veterans should be in red, white, and blue instead of the bland green and the bland brown, if you'll notice when you go into the cemetery. So this is something that is earned. And I was just going to make that clarification at that point when we get to it. Thank you very much.
Okay. If there is no one else, Mr. Clerk.
I'm sorry, that then brings us to commission remarks, communiques, reports, and other items related to the work session agenda. I mean, which we're kind of in, I'm sorry. The president's report is the next item.
Well, I guess I could have put it in the commission remark, but I do want to address the card and the things that are listed on the card. I guess having spent years on the city council and now on the commission, somehow we get the false idea that Shreveport, Blanchard, Vivian, and some of these areas that do have urban centers are not located in Caddo Parish. If you look at the number of commissioners that we have on this horseshoe, 83% of them actually represent the urban center or some sort of urban type environment. And if you look at where the crimes are coming from, much of it, most of it, is from the urban portion. So when you're talking about a millage for criminal justice, not just for juvenile justice, I think we need to consider that. One of the problems that I've always had with the parish, that was even before I got to the parish, was that it appears that very little the resources, and we do have a small budget, a little over 100 some million. The city, I think now is at 600 million. It was 500 when I was there, about 600 million now. You can double that and still not deal with some of the issues that we are dealing with now in Caddo Parish. Although it may be in Shreveport, it may be in some of these other smaller jurisdictions. But when you start looking at it and looking at how much of the parish is comprised of an urban center, we're talking about 60 to 75% of the land mass, if nothing else. So we need to work toward a relationship between the city and the parish. It bothers me that we don't have a stronger relationship between the city and the parish. Some things we do. I'll give you a case in point. A perfect example is the sheriff department. They have a lot of resources over there, but they don't feel that they need to provide any of those resources to support those problems that are happening in the urban centers. And I think that's wrong. And one of the things that I've talked to the new sheriffs, the candidates for the sheriff race is that what are you going to do to try to help the urban centers, not just outside the city, because these people pay parish taxes also. So we need to consider that. So if you want to sell this millage, I think we need to talk about it holistically, both in the city and the parish, because these cities and towns are part of the parish. So that's pretty much my take on that. And some of the things that are listed on there, on the sheet, that the card that we have, involves many of the programs that we need in the urban centers. So I see this pretty comprehensive. Mr. Clerk, can go from there.
Okay, that brings us, we don't have any scheduled old business, though when we get to consent agenda, there is an item that is from a previous meeting, so I did want to point that out. But we will move on to new business, where we have a number of items today. The first item that you have under new business is to advance ordinance number 6355 of 2023. That is an ordinance amending the budget of estimated revenues and expenditures for the oil and gas fund in the amount of $12,000 to provide an appropriation for the Veterans Cemetery sign and otherwise provide with respect thereto.
It's not working. Mr.
Okay,
President.
your mine's not working, so,
And I'm sorry, we are having a few problems with the,
okay, motion by Commissioner Epperson
I'll second.
and second by Commissioner Gage Watts. Commissioner Epperson.
Just wanted to make clarification. I didn't have an opportunity to look at the ordinance. Where I did, but it was printed, and I did call the administration, tell them that should have been for a commemorative plaque to be placed at the Veterans Cemetery. So we'd like that language changed. As I've mentioned previously in my initial response to the request, we have a significant historical value into what happens out there at that Veterans Cemetery. Although you have hundreds that are lying 6 feet under, the veterans as well as some of their spouses and their eligible children. However, even deeper than that 6 feet under, there are resources that are being tapped through the oil and gas industry, which we do receive royalties for. And we would be remiss if we did not utilize those funds to make sure that we put something out there that was beautiful and that definitely blended in with the surrounding. We have people calling from all over the state of Louisiana that would like for their loved ones interred there because of the way that it looks. So therefore, it's going to be a beautiful commemorative plaque. To be in a garden, it has to blend in, it has to be compatible. It's not going to be anything shoddy because they do not deserve anything shoddy at that facility or any veterans facility. So I would ask for your support relative to that on Monday. I'm sorry, on Thursday. Thank you.
Commissioner Chavez.
Thank you, President. This question is for legal. Do we need to redo this since it's it says in the title, an appropriation for the Veteran Cemetery sign, and we need it to say plaque? It's in the title.
Commemorative plaque in bronze.
Okay, as long as we're okay. I don't want us to advertise this and then another question is, this is a plaque that's at the location. It's not one of the signs that's going to the location. I was gonna ask we have our own sign department at the parish. Can we get those signs fixed on the way to the cemetery? I know, Ken and Tim's department actually makes signs for the parish.
This is, what we're doing here is a commemorative plaque to recognize the contribution that the commission provided in order to have the veteran cemetery. It's not a sign that would be leading to the cemetery. This is something that would be housed there so that citizens who visit that location can read the history of how that location came about.
I'm gonna be laying next to Ken in 100 years, so I'm trying to get some savings for us. But is this? I'm
No,
just trying
this
to
would
see.
be something more than the metal sign that we prepare at the through our sign shop.
Okay, so it's gonna be big and beautiful.
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
Information, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
Okay. If you got an issue relative to this, please ask me. When you go down that veteran cemetery, you don't see nothing shoddy. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Epson, I can agree with that. During your administration, you definitely kept it up. Okay, motion is on the floor.
Mr. Chairman, I was on the board to speak, but for some reason I got struck off.
Yeah, well, I didn't see you come up, so.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Apkin.
Commissioner Lazarus may have been on there before too.
Well, maybe I need you all's deal, because mine doesn't have it.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman or Mr. President. I appreciate all the thought and effort that's gone into the veteran cemetery and the fact that we honor veterans there. I'm less concerned with honoring the commission per se. To me, it should be about honoring the veterans and not so much honoring this body. So those are my concerns, Commissioner Epperson. You asked us to raise any concern we had, so that's a concern I have. Thank you.
You're asking me?
I'm happy to honor or acknowledge your reply if you would like.
Oh, okay. We're not honoring the commission. We just putting the true facts as to how that facility got there, as well as 4 others in the state. Had it not been the lead for Caddo Parish there, it would not, as well as nationwide. The National Association of County Officials gained from that also. And I always want to let everyone know the true history of what happens in Caddo Parish.
So you're basically wanting to emphasize Caddo Parish's leadership in developing this trend to establish veteran cemeteries in the state and more broadly.
Right, and nationally, because there was no more room at veteran cemeteries at that particular time in 1995.
Okay, thank you for that clarification.
Commissioner Johnson.
Thank you. Administration, how much did we put in on the Caddo Common Park?
1 million.
$1 million. So we paid $1 million for a plaque that's in the ground at Caddo Common Park. And we're talking about 12,000 now for this, plus what we've done to upgrade. But $1 million for 1.4 acres of property that we paid $1 million to have a plaque in the ground to show that the commission was involved in it. So I just just comparing apples with apples.
Okay, it appears that no one else is on the board. I'm not sure. There's no one else on the board we can vote.
Okay, and that motion carries with 11 in support, none in opposition, and 1 absent. That brings us to the next item under new business. That's the consideration of advancing the introduction of ordinance number 6356 of 2023. That is an ordinance amending the budgets of estimated revenues and expenditures for the Building Maintenance Fund, Capital Improvements Fund number 1, Capital Improvement Fund 2, Oil and Gas Fund, Public Works Fund, Detention Facilities Fund, and the Capital Outlay Fund for the year 2023 to terminate completed or lapsed capital projects and to otherwise provide with respect thereto.
Okay, my board's not working.
Motion by Commissioner
Okay,
Johnson.
a motion by Commissioner Johnson, second by Commissioner Gage Watts. Commissioner Johnson.
Yes, I would like to, in global and advance, ordinance 6556, resolution 48, resolution 49, special resolution recognizing Charles Johnson, special resolution recognizing Brady Blade, special resolution proclaiming September as NICU Awareness Month, and the special resolution recognizing Dr. What is his name? Giroudi? Okay, that's it.
I second.
Okay, Commissioner Gage Watts.
I second, and my only comment is I would like to be added to 11, 7, 8, and 9.
Okay. All righty then. Mr. Clerk, would you repeat those again?
Yes, just for the record, let's just make sure that we have that down. And that is, that was a motion from Commissioner Johnson, seconded by Commissioner Gage Watts to englobo and advance items number 11.2, 11.3, 11.4, and then 11.6, 7, 8, and 9.
Correct.
Okay.
And that would also add Commissioner Gage Watts on those final 3.
Okay, Commissioner Todd Hopkins.
Yes, I guess my question is, this is not an attachment, is on the establishing a citizen disaster response. What all will this entail?
There should be an attachment. Is there not on your
It's not
agenda?
attached on mine.
one on
Refresh your
mine.
screen.
Okay. All right. We'll go ahead and,
But in answer to your question, that is a response from the Public Safety Committee's recommendation. And it is a committee that is made up, each commissioner is asked to appoint 2 members and the administration is asked to appoint 3 members. And it's a citizen committee that would review and make recommendations related to disaster response.
I'm a little perplexed because we're doing something separate of our first responder stuff. Is that correct?
Just as though we form committees for the juvenile justice and any other deals, just something where the citizens can have an opportunity to get with those people to see exactly what they do so they have an understanding. Oftentimes, what they hear from us or they see on television. And a lot of times they think that we're selling them a bill of goods or whatever, and they would like the opportunity to see for themselves. Like I would like to have them to tour the Emergency Operations Center on Texas, like from to go out and visit the rural fire districts. They don't even know that they're out there. The Homeland Security, have Robert Jump to come down and meet with them, tell them what's exactly. When you come out about disaster declaration where you have to reach a financial threshold before we will be reimbursed from the feds. You see what I mean? The citizens need to know these things. I think it's helpful. We need to involve them more, plain and simple.
All right, thanks, sir.
And also, it does not replace the first responders coming together at the Emergency Operations Center. Commissioner Atkins.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to make sure I know what I'm voting on. Is NICU the neonatal intensive care unit? Okay, thank you. Just wanted clarification there. Thank you, Mr. President.
Okay, Commissioner Jackson.
I don't have any baby.
Well, you can
Thank
work
you.
on it.
Can you hear me? Thank you, Mr. President. I'm just curious. I don't have a problem with the Citizens Advisory Committee. I just want to make sure that we make it clear, and I don't see it in the language of the resolution, that we make it clear that, you know, the advisory committees are in an advisory capacity, and we don't have the issues like we had with the most recent Citizens Advisory Committee, is that their role is to advise the commission. But at the end of the day, the decisions that will be made will go to whatever subcommittee and roll up to the full body. And I think there was some misunderstanding at times about what role the advisory committees played and whose role was what. And I just don't want the lines blurred. I don't have a problem with this at all. I just want to make sure that whatever we put together, that is understood, that because I do believe that there should be, I'm all for citizen. I see this as citizens education, giving them some insight into how these things work, almost like a citizens academy, almost. What they used to do over at SPD is giving folks an opportunity to see what those men and women over there doing every day. So I don't have a problem with that. I just want to make sure that they understand that the decisions that are made are still left to those who have been duly elected, and we're not abdicating our responsibilities to an advisory committee. And I think sometimes the most recent one was the one we just finished, but there are times where folks forget that those decisions are often left to the 12 of us sitting around this horseshoe and administration. So thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
Yes, I understand it. They would advise us, not the first responders in the EOC or anything like that.
Right. Like, I don't even know if they
there's
would
any
even be allowed to come to EOC meetings when that EOC is activated. And I could see an instance where EOC is activated, somebody from the advisory committee shows up saying, well, I should be in this. You know what I'm saying? So I just want to make sure that the lines are very clear on where they start and stop. Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Everson for the second time on it.
I believe in articulation and making sure that everything is structured, so you can rest assured they won't get that information from me. Thank you. That's fine.
Okay, if there's no other question on it, we can vote.
That motion does carry with 10 in support, 1 in opposition, and 1 absent. That brings us then to the next item, which would be advancing a special resolution for the Daughters of the American Revolution.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Hopkins. I don't have it on my board. Oh, and second by Commissioner Jackson. Commissioner Hopkins.
Yes, this is just a special resolution to recognize the Constitution Week and the Daughters of the American Revolution.
Okay. All right, we can vote. Commissioner Jackson.
Ty, before we finalize this ain't got nothing to do with Civil War and all that stuff, do it? I just want to be clear.
It's a revolution.
Okay, American Revolution. I just wanted to be clear. I just wanted to make sure, you know, just wanted to ask the questions that does this go into. So I appreciate it. Thank you for the clarity.
Okay, that's, it was asking what number that was. That was actually, what the hell is that? 11.5.
Why wasn't included
Okay,
in Glover?
Commissioner Johnson.
Thank you. Looking at this resolution and answering Commissioner Jackson's question, it does says
preserving American history and fostering patriotism. So it's to your interpretation of how you want to say it. You preserving American history. This is the same group that fought us about moving the Confederate monument.
No, that was the Daughters of the
Daughters.
Confederacy.
Yeah, the daughter,
Oh, okay.
UDC.
Okay. They not tied together. You want to say that they not tied together?
Maybe sisters,
That's what I'm saying. Okay, thank you.
Are they linked to each other?
stepsisters. Okay, let's vote.
Okay, that motion advances with 8 in support, none in opposition, and 1 absent. And that brings us to the next item, which would be 11.10. And somebody,
Be broke. I see 3 in opposition.
Yeah, there's 3 in opposition on mine.
I'm sorry.
I saw 3 in opposition.
3.
I'm sorry. I thought that's what I said. What did I say?
Said none.
No. Oh, I'm sorry. I should have said 8 in support, 3 in opposition, and 1 absent. And I apologize if I read that out wrong. Yeah, that's what I thought I said. Let's see. And the next item that brings us to is 11.10, which is advancing the reappointment of the Industrial Development Board members. These are members whose terms have expired, and these terms would be through 2029.
Okay, there's a motion by Commissioner Johnson and second by Commissioner Jackson. Commissioner Johnson.
Yes, I just want to make sure that this also, that we could actually add a change up on Thursday if we needed to. So I just want to make sure people are aware
Meaning that if you had someone else that
you
you wanted
wanted
to
to-
add to that group.
that you wanted to switch out or change up or whatever. Because it's only five positions. So if you wanted to add somebody or add somebody to take off, you could do that. We are within the guidelines to do that.
I think we would have to, y'all do have a
Motion-
requirement
my
that you have
motion
a
said that.
resume of some kind. So if there was some consideration like that, there would have to be a resume. Now, we'll say that this is stating for reappointment. So that would probably need to be like, if there's a new appointment that's being made, then, and somebody correct me if you disagree, but I believe it would need to be made as like an agenda addition to be a
No,
consideration of a new
no.
appointment.
No, my motion was we could reappoint these, but at the same time, we could appoint somebody to replace a reappointment. So you can still do that. As long as they meet the qualifications of having a resume to us before Thursday.
Okay, is everybody clear on that? I'm not sure. But
So the motion that's being made is to advance appointments to the Industrial Development Board, which can be inclusive of reappointments or new appointments. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes, as long as they meets the qualifications of having that resume to us before Thursday.
Okay, with that in mind, Commissioner Atkins.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Clerk, please correct me, but we were informed that all 5 of these individuals are interested in renewing.
We reached out to the contact for the body who confirmed that all of them expressed an interest in returning.
Okay. And so I just point out to just remind my colleagues that these people have all been in place for what, 4 years? Is this a 4-year term?
4 to 6 years, depending on if they served a full term or not.
4 to 6 years. They've gone through training. They've gotten up to speed on the content. It's a diverse, well-trained group who has developed the skills and capabilities to operate in this environment. So I would encourage us to keep that in mind and keep skills and capabilities above politics or personal relationships when we think about replacing members of this body.
Well, that's a new one.
Why is that? I don't recall ever being opposed to.
I didn't say you. I just said that that's a new one.
Okay.
It is. Politics has always played a part in most of all of this.
Well, that may be true, Mr. President, but I've always encouraged us to downplay politics. But that doesn't mean that I'm successful in that effort.
That's right. So
Thank you,
noted.
Mr. President.
Commissioner Gage Watts.
Thank you, Mr. President. My question has already been addressed. If each one of these who are up for reappointment have been contacted, and you contacted the commissioners whose appointment it was.
I should clarify, we have not spoken to each of these people individually, but we did speak to they have a counsel, like they have an attorney that represents their body, and we reached out to him and asked him to, verify that each of them are interested in being reappointed, and he did verify that.
That's it, thank you.
Okay. All right, Commissioner Epperson.
Representative, I think it's good to hear from the people themselves. You know what I mean? It's simple as an email. They know that their time is up, If they were interested, I think, that's just my thought. Thank you.
I guess my question or thought is, at what point do you replace? Do you just whenever they decide to leave? They may have 4 years. Yes, you've served 4 years, and you may have 6 years and you've served, but it doesn't allow anybody else to serve unless they decide to step down. And some will stay there forever. It may not be as effective as they should. So that was the only question I had. Okay, we can, Commissioner Epperson,
I was just gonna say, they basically can serve at our pleasure, you know what I mean? I think we had an issue that, that it may have came through state legislation as to when you can replace different appointments and all, but some people just get there and they're just there. You look at 10 committees, they on 10 committees, same people, But it's left up to you.
and that's where your politics come
Somebody can
in.
nominate, and if they get the votes, that's it.
And that's where your politics come in. Okay, let's vote.
And that motion carries with 11 in support, none in opposition. The next item is to consider advancing the commission to select a fiscal agent bank for the parish of Caddo. This comes from the Finance Committee, and this would have the commission to select the fiscal agent bank for November 1st, 2023 until October 31st, 2025 for the parish of Caddo.
A motion by Commissioner Jackson and second by Commissioner Johnson. Commissioner Jackson.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President, Madam CEO, and Haley, I'm not sure if y'all went over this in the committee process, but if y'all could, I would like to see what the CRA performance is on these two, whoever, I believe finance usually handles this piece. So well,
Yes,
that
they
and that's usually part of the scoring is the CRA. And so if you could share that with everybody, I think that would be good. I believe Origins did a pretty good job during the pandemic, helping small local minority-owned, women-owned business get, when there was an issue about smaller businesses getting access to those dollars, they stepped up and started really getting aggressive with getting those small businesses through the pipeline. But I also know that Red River is pretty active in doing home ownership. And so I think both of them will have some good metrics there. But I see we have two here. Were y'all favoring one over the other, or y'all just leaving it totally up to us?
No, sir. No, sir. There was a recommendation from the Finance Committee to,
Do Origin?
for Origin.
Okay. I saw two.
It's 2 on there, but we did have a recommendation. I don't see that attachment on here. There was a vote from the Finance Committee to recommend Origin because if you look at the analysis, Origin, even with the fees and with the estimated interest, it's about almost $100,000 more the parish would earn using Origin. Yes, they both provided their CRA information,
Yeah.
and we can give you what they provided on that before Thursday.
Gotcha. Yeah, if you could attach that, I would appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Or forward it to us in an email. Either way, it should suffice for me. Thanks, Mr. President.
I think one of the criteria is too, they had to have a downtown location, as I remember.
Yes, sir. There was one bank that proposed that does not have a downtown location, and we do require, for convenience of our deposits, we require a downtown location.
Yeah, that's what I remember. Commissioner Johnson.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Administration, can we get someone from Origin Bank here Thursday to kind of tell the public what they've been doing as they've been holding our money that's been helping in the community?
Yes, sir.
Things that they've been sponsoring and helping out on and wouldn't been able to do if our money wasn't deposited in that bank.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we can vote.
And that motion carries with 11 in support, none in opposition, and 1 absent. That brings us to 11.12, which is to advance the authorization of changing the scope of Fire District 8, the ARPA project from SCBA air pack bottle replacement to the purchase of a Sprint truck.
Motion by, excuse me, motion by Commissioner Todd Hopkins and second by Commissioner Jackson. Commissioner Hopkins.
Yes, this is just changing scope. There are some bottles of air that these firefighters have to use. And there used to be that you had to disperse of them. They were no good after a certain period of time. So they were buying those. But now there's a new technology that lets them be refurbished and certified. So instead of doing that, they'd like to buy a small Sprint truck for their emergency non-big truck events. So it'd be in and out and not have to wear and tear their big trucks. That's it.
Okay, Commissioner Johnson.
Yes, Commissioner Hopkins, you know if they're using fiberglass or steel tanks, SCBA's?
No, I don't.
Okay, so is the purchase of the Sprint truck equivalent to the SCBA bottle replacement?
Yes, sir.
Oh, so it's nothing over, it's gonna be, what about lower?
No, I don't think it's lower either.
Same price?
Real close.
Okay.
I won't say exact, but real close, yes. They're
Okay,
staying within their budget.
okay, thank you.
But he just asked a question about the cost.
Commissioner Epperson.
Well, I guess we need to let the public know what SCBA, self-contained breathing apparatus. Okay, thank you.
Okay, well, since everybody know what that is, I guess we move on. All right, we can vote.
Okay, that motion carries with 11 in support, none in opposition, and 1 absent. That brings us now to our second round of communiques and also committee reports.
Okay, for your final comments, get on the board. Commissioner Jackson.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Kelvin, could you, well, I'll start with Andrew and Clay, or Andrew, if you could, sorry about that, Director Andrew, I want to make sure I get that right. Bishop, Director, Cook, Chef, Andrew Randall. What order you want me to put them in?
Depending on what you're gonna ask.
Okay. Had some good chicken and waffles yesterday. So
According to what you're ordering, huh?
That's a lot, huh? Juveniles. The court issue, she said, the judge, she issued the order that they had to leave Angola. And I think we are discussing whether it was voluntary. I know it's on hold, but if y'all could get us an update for Thursday, if you could be prepared in administration response for Thursday to let us know what impacts, because I'm told that they voluntarily moved. I don't know where I saw that at. I'm told that they voluntarily moved them, but I'm also told that Swanson is behind. And so what impact does all of this movement and activities have? I don't think we'll call a juvenile service meeting on it. I don't want to have to unless y'all feel we do. I don't think we need to. But what impact does that have with OJJ coming to get their kids out of our facility? Because that backs us up. So if you're not ready to discuss it today, if you could, and if you want to just shoot us some an email, that's fine too.
I can have a report to you.
Okay.
either
However
on
you
Thursday or
choose to do
before,
it.
Whatever.
However y'all want to do it, whatever works best for y'all. But if we could get that, because I imagine there'll be some ripple effects, particularly if Swanson is not ready. I think we all were holding our breath and holding in hopes that Swanson would be ready by October. But I'm told even if it's ready to open, it's not ready to be staffed.
Yes, sir.
So that still backs us up. So if you could just get us something on that, and we'll be good to go for that. Appreciate it. So I guess your director this time. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you. Thank you. Kelvin or Travis, whoever's here. Okay. Have we started the Nutria process over there, or where are we on it?
Okay, how you doing, Commissioner
How you
Jackson?
doing? You
Give
all
a
right?
quick update. So,
Appreciate you.
Mr. Wren, I like the way he operates. He eradicates without any trouble. Only issue he has currently, he has to get his wildlife license updated. So I'm giving him a week and a half to 2 weeks from last week. So he's working that now. It's easy deal with him. I already got a contract with him, and I'll update you after that.
I'm gonna get pictures of. the
Oh,
situation.
absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely.
All right. And I think we're meeting on Thursday,
Is it this Thursday?
this
Okay.
Thursday
Okay.
at Mamie Hicks
Okay,
to
and I'll
discuss that with the citizen.
have more updates once I converse with him tomorrow.
Okay.
Okay.
Appreciate it. Thank you. And last but not least is Tim or Ken here on 4th Street. Hey, how you doing, Ken?
Hello, Commissioner. How are you?
I'm good. Nice shirt.
Oh, thank you.
The 4th Street situation, great news we got. Do we know when they expect to actually start turning some dirt or pulling up asphalt over there?
Last I heard, Tom Dark's email said that they were still looking for some funding on their side, but they've got the DOTD permit in place. So expect, I don't know where they sit with engineering. Last I heard that they were still, finalizing their water and sewer engineering plan. So I'm not for sure if that funding is engineering or if it's for actual water and sewer work. I don't know that.
Okay. Okay. So that we could be some months off still if they, I thought all the engineering was done to get the permit.
That's what would make my same assumption, is that the engineering would have to be done for that. But I have seen permits done where you're 95% complete, just enough to get it, to get the permit started. The DOTD permit is one of the harder processes to obtain. So they went through that process and did well. That's good.
Okay, if you could check to see, because I know School Park is gonna have a neighborhood association meeting soon. I'd like to update
Sure.
them on
I'll
where
see if
it
I can
is.
email Tom Dark.
And I might have to invite y'all out to explain that to them if needed. But the heart's on the shirt kind of guy. I don't know if that's what it's supposed to do, but but if you could find out if we're still in engineering, or are we ready to go?
I'll see where
or are
they're
they
at.
ready to go?
Yes,
And I think we agreed to, if it was needed, to do the asphalt overlay. But I'm told that the state put in some money.
The state has the money for the asphalt overlay. They're ready to go as well. They're just waiting for the water and sewer work to be finished.
Okay, and I'm told this is also gonna really fix the situation in front of Eddie Jones Head Start Center. That's where the
Yes,
bulk of the
that's
problem
correct.
is.
Yes, sir.
Okay, if y'all could stay on top of that
I
for
will
us.
follow back up with them.
Appreciate it. Thanks. All right.
Thank you.
That's it for me. Thank you, Mr. President.
Okay, while you're here.
Yeah.
Ken, while you're here. I've had a couple complaints about Hearn Avenue around Willis Knighton. Is there any plans to, from the state or anybody, to do something to that road?
Nothing that I'm familiar with, but I'll reach out to DOTD and find out if they have any plans, and I'll let you know.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Commissioner Gage Watts.
Thank you, Mr. President. On Thursday, I would like to invite everyone to wear red in honor of Sickle Cell Awareness Month. And also invite you to light it up red at your homes and your businesses on September 23rd, which the Radiothon fundraiser will be held at the Sickle Cell Disease Association of Northwest Louisiana on Judson Street from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. And I would also like to make my yearly request, Madam Administrator, to light up the courthouse red as well on Saturday, September 23rd.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
That's it.
That's it.
Commissioner Todd Hopkins.
Good afternoon, sir.
To rectify the problem with the horses on Rank School Road.
So the sheriff department was working that issue, and we got involved to meet the sheriff department over there at the same time so we can just get this thing resolved. I think we removed 2. So you have 5 on site, 6. We removed 2, giving her a chance to get her Coggins and her Eastern equine encephalitis test updated, and then we'll go back. And if that's not done, we're going to confiscate all of them. Right. You have at least 3 of them with a very bad body count. You know, you have a body count from 1 to 9. 2 of them are at least a 2. So those are the ones that are concerned. We don't know if they're old, if their teeth need to be floated, but we took 2. And if those aren't updated with the others, we're going to take them all tomorrow. Yes, sir.
Kevin, while you're there, I don't have to keep back and
Oh,
forth.
that's okay.
I
Commissioner
want
Burrell.
to inject this. I've gotten a couple of complaints on Alabama and Stonewall. They said that you all went out to catch a couple of either pit bulls or whatever. You caught one, and there's a gray one that's still out there at large.
Right. We're going to set another trap. Once an animal get a feel of that trap and it doesn't really grab them, it's hard to get them back. So we're still trapping.
I thought we were getting some sort of darts or something.
We do have those, and depending on the location that they're roaming, we don't want to implement that right away, because if it's running with the dart and it falls out, that's still a controlled chemical. So that's the last resort. So let us try this last trap setting, and then we'll move forward.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Young.
Thank you, Mr. President. Administrator Bryant, you and I have had a bunch of conversations about tranquilizer guns and the need to be able to stop wild dogs quickly. Right now, there's a pack of maybe 5 or 8 wild dogs running around in Spring Lake at the edge of Cedar Grove. I know that CPAS has apprehended a couple of them. I've been following the alerts about them on Facebook. They've killed, I think, 5 cats that belong to people. People are worried about their kids in their neighborhood and their other animals. And I know that we are hesitant to use tranquilizer darts because they're chemical substances, but I don't think that those are as dangerous as wild dogs. And so I would like to encourage you to make a decision about the costs and benefits of stopping dogs quickly using those chemicals, because I know that we have them, and I know that our people really want to feel safe in their neighborhoods outside. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Epperson.
So I'd just like to report that the renovations of the new Office of Motor Vehicle Facility on Raspberry Lane is going quite well. Hopefully we'll be open in the latter part of 2023 or early 2024. And just a point of information for those that may not know, Commissioner Mike Thibodeau and I were the ones that authored the oil and gas revenue fund. We received a substantial amount of lease monies from our assistant administrator, Randy Lucky. So he called me and told me to sit down. He had great news. I think it's about 35 million. And Commissioner Mike Thibodeau and I authored the oil and gas revenue fund and put it in place. And for those of you who may not know, that I don't think you've seen my name many times on anything out of that oil and gas revenue fund, but you're going to see some when it comes to my veterans. Also, the Veteran Celebration Committee, everything is in place for this year's honor ceremony and Veterans Parade. Colonel Joey Strickland, the Secretary of the Louisiana Department of Veterans Affairs Secretary, will be our honor ceremony speaker on November the 11th. Actually, our event will fall on Veterans Day this year at 5:00 p.m. at the Municipal Auditorium. And he will also be the Grand Marshal for our parade that will be here Sunday, November the 12th at the fairgrounds. And for those of you that may not be familiar, Erin Buchanan is back as a Public Affairs Director with Department of Development and Transportation. She works very well with me for the years that she's been there. She left briefly and went to the city of Bossier, but she's back with DOTD, and some of the questions I had heard you all ask, I have her contact information, and she's very responsive. Thank you.
Okay, if there's no other comments, citizens' comments, late arrivals.
We have no requests.
We have none. Meeting adjourned.